Like in my mind, if I'm walking to the beach, I don't even care any time of day. If there's like, shaved ice or taco truck or churro truck, I'm stopping and I will do that to support local businesses.
Yeah,
but
that's
also
really good.
nothing like a churro on the beach. So
Churros on the beach.
Churros on the beach.
Name of our album.
Salutations.
Howdy. You know what's been racking my brain?
Tell me.
What do you think is the best way to prepare a halibut?
Grilled. You prepare it before the grill? I just like some lemon, some garlic, and a little bit of love.
Gosh, that's perfect. You've unlocked it.
There we go.
Welcome to the Open Water Podcast, where dreams become reality, and we go a bit deeper into this.
We're back, baby. I thought you were done. What are you drinking?
Just a little coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah, black and strong.
That's good. That's good. I told you a second ago, but I had 3 cups of coffee to prepare for this.
I know.
Now I'm drinking Spindrift.
There's gonna be a lot of sparkles today.
Lots. Cue sparkle feature. All right. For real, though. Welcome back to the Open Water Podcast. We talk about all the things that matter. Glad you're here.
Straight up.
All right. Let's start with silly things. Do you have a silly thing today?
Let's see. Gosh, what could I pick? Left turns. I think we could probably get rid of all left turns if we tried really hard. And we just did a little bit of pre-route planning. We could do away with left-hand turns. I think they're very unsafe. They cause a lot of accidents. And I think if we were to so boldly choose only right turns. So there's certain, was it UPS that
I don't know,
has done away with 90% of the left turns?
They just as a company have been we're not doing this anymore.
Yeah, they take too much time on the routes. So they plan the delivery routes with the fewest left turns.
Are you a fan of the roundabout then?
Big fan of the roundabout. Let's start building.
They've put a couple in recently.
Well,
There's one in the
I'm saying we should start building.
Ormond the station or whatever, the station neighborhood. I have seen so many people misuse the roundabout. I saw one car 2 weeks ago. I'm not joking. They were just, when a little kid goes in those roundabout doors, those ones where you just, the car was doing that. They did I think they missed their turn and they freaked out. They went around.
Now I'm confused.
They went around 2 full times before they made their turn. And I was
I think it takes, a good year or two for a city to adapt.
Yeah.
The roundabout.
Which is interesting because you come from the land of the Michigan left.
Many roundabout. Oh, the Michigan left is also a great feature, I feel.
But that is a left turn. In fact, that is it's an elevated left turn.
It is in a way, yeah.
So you're anti-left turns.
I suppose I am. Yeah.
Feels like a real issue.
I think a roundabout is the solution.
All right, pro roundabouts. My silly thing is I've been on a grape kick, a grape flavor kick. I am not usually a fruit flavor man.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like anything that I drink coffee wise or anything like that. Tea is herbal flavor, like mint. I like those kind of chamomile. I usually avoid the fruit. Lemon's kind of in the middle for me. Lemon is
there's something about warm fruit.
Yeah, lemon and
belongs in pie only.
I agree. Lemon and lime, I feel and grapefruit are the variables, but Spindrift
try heating those
flavors.
up.
Yeah, but there's a grape Spindrift that I'm a big fan of, and then our friends over at Coastlands Coffee. I'm a big fan of Coastlands. Shout out to Coastlands. Went over there, and I always ask them, what's the weirdest thing you have? Because I just think it's a good way to live your life, personally. I just think live on the edge.
They deliver.
And they deliver. They deliver. If you were I want to try something I've never tried before, go to Coastlands and ask them what's the weirdest thing you got. And they had a grape soda coffee blend yesterday.
That was interesting.
I've been thinking about it all day. I'm going back after this. After we shoot this, I'm going to go back to Coastlands and get grape coffee.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cup number 4.
Well, they got it.
No, it was so weird. You had it.
It was weird. That's for sure.
It had this really good grape flavor. I got an iced Americano with it, with just a touch of cream, just a little.
What is refreshing about that was the grape flavor without the sugar around the fake grape.
It was great. It was great. And so, go check out Coastlands, get some grape coffee. Actually, don't do that. I'm going to drink it all, and it comes in small batches. So don't get it. Get a different one, because I like the grape one. But
definitely try Coastlands.
I think grape is a silly flavor for things. I think even in soda, grape soda that's living on the edge for me, I think. Do you have a soda flavor that you're like, this is
No, but I'd love to hear what other fruits you feel like don't belong in soda.
orange soda? I also feel like I got to be in a really weird mood.
Okay.
Like even my kids are like, if they see me get anything besides like Diet Coke or like regular Coke, they're like, whoa, something's. And we talked about it too. Anything with cherry, I'm pro cherry.
Okay.
Big fan of cherry flavor in any soda. Quite
Okay.
frankly. But if I'm getting like, again, lemon lime's fine. So like the Sprite, Starry, whatever, it's great. But when you start throwing in like grape and why isn't there a cranberry soda, like a primary driven?
There is 7-Up cranberry. It's only around Thanksgiving.
That's great. So is the
Very
ginger ale. Ginger ale cranberry.
Very good. Yep.
Yeah, if you get the
Seasonal, though,
blackberry ginger ale,
Ooh.
top notch.
Hello.
Top notch. Because you
Okay.
get it like a 4-pack at Sam's or Costco. You got the blackberry, the cranberry, regular, and then something else on it.
There you go.
There you go.
Try a berry flavored soda today.
That's it.
On us.
Maybe berry. Maybe berry good.
Just tell them at the counter.
It's on Brennan. Charge his
Pastor
card.
Marty's tab.
Put it on the tab. All right, great. With that said, let's do unpopular opinions. I feel like we should jump right into it. We should just
Change it up.
right. It's a very popular. Very
Popular for being an unpopular.
That's it. All right, unpopular opinions. What's our topic?
Beach activities.
Beach activities. Love it. What's an unpopular opinion about beach activities? Is there an activity people should do more of, less of?
More bonfires on the beach.
I like that.
I'd be, this might be controversial. More dog
No.
beaches. Yep. See.
No.
All right, has divided the crowd.
No.
More room for the dogs. Giving us just the half-mile stretch or whatever.
No. Anti-dog.
Cut it.
No. Anything that can leave stuff behind on the beach, don't. I don't like
Babies.
that. If your dog wears a diaper, you can have your dog on the beach.
Okay.
So God bless.
All right. Well, if that's the rule, I might oblige.
Unpopular opinions. We went to the beach. We went to the beach together. Our families went, and there was a gentleman laying out on the beach like this, just letting the waves.
Just
hit
trying to
him.
get comfortable.
And he was there. He did it for an hour, just like wave.
Such is life,
And I saw it, and I was like, that's weird. And I was like, good for him. And then about an hour in, I was like, does he know something I don't about this experience? And I wondered. I was like, is there other modes of like sitting by the beach that might be better than just sitting like way out? Like we have friends who sit. They have the low chairs and they sit right when the water comes. The water like hits their feet, and I was like, that might be the ticket.
There's country songs about this.
Really?
Where the best spot for your chair is. Oh yeah.
I'm not familiar. I'll have to look it up.
Can't really sing them.
It's weird. It's crazy. The words don't come to mind.
No. We'll just they'll get us shut down.
Yeah. You copyright issues.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
the
I
only
get
reason.
that. Yeah, but that and then more ice cream trucks. I think
Oh.
there should be more food trucks parking near the beach.
That's a great idea.
Like to me, it feels like that should be I wonder if it's like an issue with the city, like permits or whatever. But like in my mind, if I'm walking to the beach, I don't even care any time of day. If there's like, shaved ice or a taco truck or churro truck, I'm stopping and I will do that to support local businesses.
Yeah,
but
that's
also
really good.
nothing like a churro on the beach. So
Churros on the beach.
Churros on the beach.
Name of our album.
Yep, crabs eat crabs. Song track 8. So churros on the beach.
One more unpopular
Yeah,
opinion.
love song.
I think it just needs to be more socially acceptable to like point out your neighbor's socks on the beach and say, "Hey, those are a nice pair of socks. Glad you brought those to the beach today."
I keep waiting for you to start that trend, and you won't even do it yourself. So until you do it,
It was just a little too hot last weekend
All right.
for socks.
there you go.
I mean, I'm a human being. I have a threshold.
Great. Let's talk about Sunday. We're gonna just stop there with your socks. Talk about Sunday. We had the great pastor Reverend Jesse Herbruck in the house.
Yeah.
Very thankful for Jesse filling in the pulpit this week. It's one of my like 4 weeks a year that I didn't preach, which is a weird feeling. It's a weird feeling.
Yeah. Did you observe anything being?
I observed quite a bit. I found myself more able to engage with the worship than usual because I didn't feel like I was like subconsciously running notes in my head beforehand, which was great. It was really nice to be able to just like worship, and I did announcements, but that that's fine. So yeah, it was a great. It's a joy to sit under other people's teaching. I'm not just saying that, like it truly is, because obviously my prime intake of preaching is via like podcasts or YouTube or whatever, because I'm busy Sunday mornings. I'm preaching, and so I love preaching. I think that faith is developed through the hearing of God's word. I think preaching is incredibly important, and so but it's usually done through podcasts, different mediums, not live. And so to have somebody in the house preaching was a gift to me. And so thanks, Jesse.
Yeah.
But he continued our series Uncluttered, and he talked about
Let's get into it.
Comparison. All out of 1 Samuel 18 was his primary text, and really looking at the moment when Saul returns from battle and the people are celebrating and they say Saul's killed his thousands, but David his 10,000s, and we see Saul really continue his journey of kind of coming undone. And he is jealous of David. The text says, I believe verse 24 says, and he had a jealous eye for David. He had an eye on David moving forward. And really we see this theme all the way to the end of Saul's life, that he never really resolves his anger and jealousy of David. And Jesse talked all about comparison, talking about attention, talking about achievements, and talking about attention, achievements, and what was the third one?
Attention, achievements, affection.
Affection. That's it. And yeah, really good word that we can find ourselves comparing when people take their eyes off of us, or when people have more achievements than us. And yeah, just really good word that I think each of us have to assess our own heart and say, hey, is there an area I find myself comparing myself to other people, and I find myself wanting things that others want or that others have? And I think it's a thing that we all have to wrestle with to a degree. Do you feel like there's an area in your life in particular out of those three that resonated the deepest with you?
Yeah, I think I'd say I find myself, when I'm not healthy, slipping into like a cycle of comparing achievements.
Yeah.
I think in part because I'm just kind of a numbers. That's how I think in my head. And when something has just like such a clear result, or when something is so black and white,
It's measurable.
and when something is so measurable, it's too easy for me to compare my own with others.
Yeah. I definitely lean towards affection. I think out of those three, attention, affection, achievements, when affection shifts, we've talked about it before, is I think like I'm not good at a lot of things, but I feel like I can read a room pretty well. I think there's something like I can sense pretty easily when affection has been removed, or there's just there's an awkwardness or weirdness or coldness.
Someone or something is pulled.
Yeah. And no, man, I resonated that for sure with Saul, where I think it's this interesting picture that we see Saul chosen by God, selected by people, and he's like kind of the shining star for a hot minute. They're like, oh my gosh, Saul's our king, he's amazing. And then the moment someone else comes onto the scene, like he's like, dude, I'm your guy. And all of a sudden David is the hero. And man, that was I empathize with him in that regard. But at the same time, I think Saul is the perfect image of someone who got his priorities mixed up, where he lost favor with the Lord first, then the people, and he's like trying to get the favor back of the people, but it's like no. The Lord first, and the people will follow. And I think there is something about that is just like really, really compelling, that Saul just had his stuff messed up. And I think it is such a good reminder for each of us to have our priorities straight, that if we don't have the Lord first, that everything else can easily get derailed. But yeah, what do you think people, like when we talk about comparison, where do you think people find the biggest area of comparison? Like what are they comparing to? Like, where do you think that, like, because I think comparison is this thing that it's such a blurry line between like, I look up to them, I respect them, I acknowledge this, to, oh, I want that. It's such a blurry line. What do you think feeds that or leads people to that place?
I think oftentimes it can come from a place of like just genuinely wanting to and I'll be better. Because I mean, how do you distinguish that from like having a mentor?
Sure.
Or like or like a hero, someone you look up to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see how that is.
Yeah.
A bit of a conundrum.
Yeah.
How we're drawn to people who display, I don't know, a better way to go about their life in areas that we find ourselves being deficient in.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Gosh. Yeah, I know, because I guess comparison can oftentimes be like used for good or for bad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. What do you say? How do you best distinguish like when comparison is useful and when it's not?
I think comparison becomes dangerous when we neglect the journey to like where people got to where they're at. I think when we neglect the story behind like the achievements, the affection, and the attention, and we're just like, I wish I could be there, and like, and we want to get to a certain place without the journey that got the people to where they're at. So, for example, like, I think if there's someone who's like, man, they're so like patient and gracious and kind, and you're like, what actually caused it? And I think social media is like a microcosm of the whole thing. I think social media for sure makes a very big door for comparison. We're like, oh man, they travel so often. I wish I could do those things. You don't know the sacrifices or the things that they did to get to that place. Or if it's even real, right? Like there's people who are like just posturing and pretending and like, it's like, oh, I'm just out here. Like this is your 1,000th take of this. And I think we need to be wise and careful of like, before we can compare, which we shouldn't compare, I think in general. I think we should be grateful for who we are and what God's doing in our life today. And I don't really see a ton of benefits of comparison, really. I think there's benefits in observing and gleaning and learning, but like to compare, being like, oh, I wish I could be there. Like,
true. We can never assume parts of someone's story that we don't know, and the costs involved, sacrifices involved that take someone to arrive at a certain place.
I think something too about the story with Saul and David, which is interesting, that I don't think we had time to touch on, is David was fighting for Saul. Like he was fighting and like they're on the same team, and Jesse talked about the same team mentality, but like Saul should have been celebrating and elevating David as well. Like the miss of that whole thing is like, dude, like David is a great leader under your leadership. And rather than celebrating David as well, he's like, why don't I get the credit? And you're like, that's not what good leaders do. Is it not like, this is my thing, celebrate me? Like that is the dumbest thing, that he's just like, he reverts it back to himself rather than elevating someone who is under Saul by position. It's just like, what are you doing, dude?
It kind of just struck me like it kind of a replay of like the classic trope. Like almost the further the story is back in the Bible, the more you'll see that pattern play out over and over again. This kind of sounds like the Hostile Brothers again. Like from Genesis with Cain and Abel. Where like you see Saul tearing down the ideal, which is David. And because he's not willing to make the sacrifices, not willing to humble himself. Then he's just left in this chase after this ideal that he's trying to destroy.
Right. And the weird part is to like go back to that theme is that theme of like the ideal trying to be destroyed is always at their own demise. Like in the effort of Saul trying to tear down David, the only one who's actually destroyed in the midst of that. I mean, there's for sure implications for the nation, but like Saul is the one who's destroyed. It's like if Saul actually like, I think it goes back to like where Jesus says, if you want to like you have to lose your life in order to find it. And there's that piece of like releasing the things that are not for you to control or to manage or to like try to like force, where it's like, again, it's like, oh, he has a better sacrifice. And it's like, no. You're like, he was punished as a result of like him acting out of turn. And it's like that was the ideal. He did things right. And then he's like, this is my thing. You're like, man, there's something about that is just wild.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's good. Next week, we're talking about...
We're talking all about uncluttering the heart. And really, it is kind of a recap message, but not in the way that you'd think, where it's like we're talking about something brand new, but it is a compiling and a callback to all these other areas that we've addressed
Stitch
already.
The story together.
And we're shifting now from Saul being the primary person now into David. And so we're jumping back in time a little bit to David's anointing and that... God has been preparing David, and now we see his response to that anointing and that calling. And God has called David a man after God's own heart. And so we're going to look at why David, and what does it look like?
That.
We'll unpack what does it mean to have a heart after God, and kind of the prayers that are tied to that. I'm really excited to talk about that. So it's gonna be good. Gonna be a good Sunday.
Awesome, excellent. Before we move on, though, we did have a Q&A. Come in.
Yep.
Which I don't have it in front of me right now, but the gist of it was, what do you do about church hurt?
Yeah.
How do you hear God's voice in this?
Yeah.
When
First off, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that whether it was here or another church or any local gathering of believers has caused you hurt in any way, shape, or form. One of our values is we believe the best, and I would hope that any local body of believers didn't intend to cause hurt in any way, shape, or form. And church hurts is a tough thing because I think much like any hurt, it hurts kind of like a magnet, right? Where like when we are hurt, and like we kind of can collect and like consciously or even subconsciously build a case around that hurt. So let's like play this out. So if like you said something that hurt me, I think for many people, their first reaction is like, oh, he did this. Then we begin to like, our eye shifts a little bit to like all the things you say. Is like an undertone to that? What did you actually mean? And like, remember this one time a year ago you said this. We begin to build a case because it's easier to insulate than to process and have conversations. And I want to encourage anybody who's experienced any type of hurt, including church hurt, to begin the process in time, in appropriate time, to begin to put the hurt on the table and assess what part of this is like kind of insulation to not feel the hurt.
to go find the black box, so to speak, in the rubble of your hurt.
Because it's just so much easier than to like, have a conversation or like to work through the hurt and work through our own like areas that we like, have. Maybe I had expectations that were unfair. Maybe I said something out of turn. And again, I'm not saying that's always the case. Sometimes there is just like, this was said out of line and it was wrong. And like, I am hurt from it. That's totally a real thing. But sometimes I think it is a good discipline to sit down and be like, what are the areas that maybe I had expectations around or thoughts around that maybe were unfair?
Am I complicit in my own hurt? In any
100%.
Because I can control that. My part of it. So that it doesn't happen again.
Because I think just bringing awareness around hurt is a good thing. I think that is a massive healing facet to that whole thing. And then I think too, like, you got to have a conversation. Like, I think I'll speak of my own experience. I was hurt by a church leader one time, and I did this exact thing. I insulated, and I built a case in my head towards all the things that they had said and done to me. And I even grouped what one person said to me into like the crock pot of church hurt. It was the church leader. So I immediately was like, church. And looking back, that was an unfair assessment of that church. It was I kind of grouped them all in together.
I do think that happens quite a bit. If I jump in, like, unfortunately, things kind of get tangled between like church goers, church leaders, and God.
They group them all in together.
And unfortunately, sometimes it does get projected. Like a church leader is the source of the hurt, but like I'm angry at God actually. So I think it does require some digging through and separating out what's real, what's emotion, what's fact.
I think too, it's a dangerous thing too to like, let's say someone in your family, like say you come from a large family and one of your siblings says something to you off the cuff, inappropriate, it hurts your feelings, to dismiss family as a whole. Like, I'm anti-family. Like, no, you're not. You're like, what they said was wrong and not wise and unkind. But to dismiss the whole thing, and I do think it's wise for people when they talk about church hurt to part out like God, my relationship with the Lord, and like congregants. Again, the church is full of broken people. The leaders of the church are broken people. That's why we're all together pursuing Jesus. Like, we're under the banner and blood of Jesus. It's why we're a church trying to be better followers of Jesus. And then, and church leaders. I think those are all just separate things. And I think we group them all together, and we got to be very wise with how we manage and assess and critique and all those things. But I am sorry for the hurt that you've experienced. Hurt's never fun. And But I think when we take the time and go through the process of healing, it makes us stronger people in general.
Yeah.
So yeah, assess the hurt, navigate the role that again maybe you did or didn't play in, and then begin to have a conversation in time to say, hey,
Yeah.
this was said to me, or this happened, or this, I recall a couple of years ago there was a situation where a woman was at church and somebody said something, and it was misunderstood. But it caused a lot of damage to the person, the recipient of the comment, and that person did group everything together, and it was like, and really, it was, it ended up being a bigger conversation of like there was actually a lot of hurt from just moments in her life that was just kind of, it was the reason to group a lot of hurt together, and it was kind of pointed at that, but it's like actually there's a lot of unattended hurt from a lot of things, not just this, but that was just the thing to just top it off. And it ended up being a great conversation. It was many conversations that led to a lot of healing, where it was like, actually this happened to me when I was 14 and it led to this, and it was just a lot of stuff that was compressed, and then finally got to the point where it's like bleh. And I think there's a great book. It's really about anger, but it's by Chip Ingram. I'm blanking on the name of it. But he talks about the different ways we process information. One of them is stuffing. Stuffing, spewing, and something else.
Yeah, this isn't a sermon. Oh, well,
I unapologetically took it from him. I noted him in the message, but the idea of, I think a lot of people stuff. I think I think stuffing is perceived as the easiest and the nicest, right? Where I think here specifically where we are located in the country, being nice is a virtue, and but the problem is niceness isn't always good. It's not always loving to be nice. And I think we should be kind. That's not the same thing as nice. Nice is a perceived like goodness, not an actual goodness. It's like, well, I want to be nice. You're like, but you're being not truthful about things, and so but I think stuffing is perceived as like the best route, but
affects the smallest blast radius.
100%, but really it's like no, because sometimes we explode as a result of stuffing, and we got to be wise. Attend the wounds. You have to attend the wounds. And so hopefully that's helpful in the midst of the healing journey. And so
time is what it takes.
I think absolutely.
Time.
Absolutely.
All right.
Good. Is it time for top 5?
Yeah, finally.
Great.
Been waiting all
Great.
podcast.
Today I have a list for you.
Oh.
May the odds be ever in your favor. I do feel like this is in your wheelhouse.
I can't wait.
So I want you to guess the top 5 most watched sports. Okay. This is
Worldwide?
Worldwide.
Okay.
All right. What do we got?
Cricket.
That is number 2.
Soccer.
Number 1.
Rugby.
No.
Tennis.
Tennis is number 4.
American football.
That is number 10.
Oh.
Right?
Baseball.
Baseball is number 7.
How many of the top 5 I have?
You're missing 2, I believe.
Okay.
Yes. You're missing, and you're not going to get one of them.
High lie.
Oh, I'm sorry, what?
I lie?
Is that a
Never mind.
That was a brewery in Florida.
High lie is one of the most dangerous sports. Did you know that?
What is that?
See, like the cone-shaped handheld, like racket.
Oh, the little
basket
game
they have.
kids play.
They like spin around and
That's
fling
a
it.
real sport?
Oh, they fling that ball at like 100 miles an hour. It's nuts. Anyway,
Jamie,
pull it up.
Pull it up, please. All right, keep going.
Basketball?
Basketball is not number 9, so no.
In top 5, I've got cricket.
Yep. You got cricket.
Soccer.
Soccer's number 1. Cricket's number 2. Tennis is number 4. You're missing number 3 and number 5. These are tough. One of them is
Olympic sports?
Yes, it is. I believe one is for sure. One I believe is also. I'll give you some stats about it. Number 3 is this game was existed since the 3rd century.
Wrestling.
No, that's a good one though. According to statistics, blank sport currently has a fan following of 2.2 billion, mostly in Europe, Asia, and Africa.
Cycling?
No.
Europe,
it's a team
Asia,
sport.
Africa. Team sport. It's not cricket.
It's like one of our favorite sports to watch, but involves a field.
Field hockey?
Nailed it. Number 3. You got one more
What?
left. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just
No
reading,
way.
Just reading the reports. This is taken from sportsbusiness.com.
Oh, I trust that.
Yeah. I do my homework on it.
Yeah.
Number 5. Big deal in this town, I suppose. Involves a ball and a net and people hitting the ball and serving.
Is it volleyball?
Yeah. Yep. Number 5 is volleyball. Yep. You know what number 6 is, though?
back in my
Wild
brain.
table tennis.
Well, that I understand.
Of course. Yeah, table tennis. Yeah, number 6, the most viewed sport in the world is table
Most
tennis.
viewed? That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Volleyball
you
beats
watched-
out American football?
It's insane.
Sportsnet.com or whatever?
Yeah.
All right.
There it is. There's your top 5.
We can trust it. I trust it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you guys learning anything? Are you learning something?
This is the
these good?
educational part of our show.
Are these good?
It's been a blessing. Great.
Great. Now it's time for everyone's favorite mini show within the show.
Yeah, a show within a show. Inception
within
of a show.
That's right. It's
right.
the...
Bring them out. Bring them out.
It's the Elijah and Armando Show.
Hello and welcome to the Elijah and Armando Show. I'm Elijah,
I'm Armando.
and this is our show. We get a prompt that we know nothing about, and then we will field it.
Worst soup.
Worst soup.
Or soup.
Oh man, I'm not a big soup guy, so I might need
Soup is, I'm just going to say this, soup is bad.
preach. There's not one single soup that I'm like I can't wait to eat this soup.
Worst soup. So it's just got to be like, okay, no. Here's the worst soup.
Cook.
Chicken noodle soup.
Ooh, no, that's not the worst.
It is
That's the
so
worst.
bad.
That's like the one soup that I'll tolerate.
No, not me. That's just the Armando opinion.
I respect it. I think it's wrong, but I respect it.
I do see that I am in the minority, but it's just really bad.
Okay, I have a two-tiered answer here. Okay, my first answer is I don't even know if this is like a specific soup, but what I would call vegetable soup, like a soup with a lot of vegetables in it. And this is why it's not the soup's fault. I think that America and the world has believed a lie, and that lie is that vegetables are food for people. Okay. I don't think they are. I think vegetables are meant for animals, right? And then somewhere along the line, someone was like, I'm going to eat what this rabbit eats, right? And so they try it, and they don't want to be like, oh, that was gross, I'm embarrassed. So they're like, this is great and healthy. And then everyone else is like, let's eat the rabbit food. And now we've just accepted it as a culture, and we eat our food's food. I reject it. I don't think vegetables are for people. So, soup with vegetables in it, not for me. But my ultimate answer, past that, is cold soup. Any soup that has gone cold is instantly nasty.
That's true. I think everyone will give you that. I will disagree with you. I love vegetables.
You've been brainwashed. Yeah.
But so do you only eat meat?
No, just I eat things that aren't vegetables.
Things that aren't vegetables,
Yeah.
like
Pringles, not vegetables. Any source of meat,
Okay.
but also things like cottage cheese. Anything that's not a vegetable. Fruit is great, but not vegetables.
okay. You eat cottage cheese.
Oh yeah,
Okay. There it is.
there it is.
On the
We're gonna send it back to the main show. Thank you for your time today.
we appreciate it.
And
We're back.
Duck blood soup.
Excuse me?
All right, cool. With that said, I think that wraps up our show today. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you. We see you. We
Hope you're having a great week preparing for the 4th of July,
Yeah.
which is next week.
Yeah. If you have a good place to buy fireworks, please let me know, and don't send me phantom fireworks. I know we're those are mid.
Looking for an inside.
Where are the good ones? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Okay. All right, great. With that said, let me pray. We'll wrap up. Dear Father, thank you for this time, God. Thank you for who you are. Thank you for Jesus and the gospel, and that we can walk in new life. God, we just want to say thank you. Thank you for another day. We pray over our church, God, in the midst of those who are walking through difficult seasons and those who are battling with health. God, we ask that you provide grace and mercy, peace as only you can do. God, we pray that you continue to help us be a light to our city and to those we interact with. God, salt and light, as your word says. That's our ask this morning, that we can be people who shine bright for Jesus, and that people come to know you through just the interactions we have and through us communicating the love and grace and mercy of Jesus. We love you. We praise you in Jesus' name. Amen. Till next time, friends.
Don't forget the sunscreen.